now!
Hello, this is Billy Core from the Nostalgia Mall, and welcome to another episode of Nostalgia Mall Christmas 2018, where in this video we're going to be doing a quick little update video on the Dell XPS 720 right here. Just to recap, this is a computer that was given to me by my aunt this past summer. This was her main daily driver computer from when she bought it new in January of 2008 until she finally upgraded in August of 2011. So she got about 3.5 years out of it, I believe, and it served her very, very well. This computer was pretty much one of the best you could get in 2008, the early part of 2008 at least. I wouldn't say maybe this was the greatest, most wonderful computer back then, but this was still pretty incredible. It originally came with 4 gigs of RAM, a Core 2 Quad Q6600 clocked at 2.4 gigahertz, a NVIDIA GeForce 8800 GT video card, and a 750 gigabyte hard drive. And it originally shipped with Windows XP Media Center 2005. This was at a time when Dell was offering computers with either XP or Vista, and at the time my aunt, just like me at the time, preferred XP over Vista. I believe she actually completely skipped over Vista when it was still a current operating system. But anyway, it's now my computer. And I did do a video about this a couple of months ago, but I have made a few changes to it since you last saw it. First of all, it's moved over here. It's now KVM'd with the Gateway 2000, the Carolina Flyer, and the Dimension 4200. I've had too many Christmas cookies apparently. It's the Dimension 8200's KVM'd with. And I've done some upgrades to it. I can't remember if this still had an SSD in it when I first showed it. I did have an SSD in this when I first got it, but it's now running off a 250 gig hard drive and a 500 gig Western Digital Green drive. It's also running on 8 gigs of RAM. That's right. You may recall in my previous video I mentioned that I tried to put 8 gigs of RAM in it, but it would not work, even though it's officially supported by this computer. Well, a few people mentioned that it depends on the speed, well, not really the speed, but the particular brand of RAM, because these Dells are kind of picky about that. But actually, the way I fixed it was just simply trying again and putting the 8 gigs of RAM that I had that I tried to put in here before in here, and now it works perfectly. It doesn't even cause any slowdowns either. It just runs flawlessly. So I don't know what I did to fix it, but apparently it's fixed. So it's now running with 8 gigs of DDR2 memory. The CPU has been upgraded as well. As I mentioned earlier, it originally had a Core 2 Quad Q6600. Well, that's now been replaced with a Q9550, which is not officially supported by this computer, but I decided to put one in here anyway because I've heard numerous wonderful things about the Q9550 being one of the greatest socket 775 CPUs out there. I put it in and it worked perfectly, and it still works perfectly. So I pretty much have this computer almost maxed out. Maybe I'll upgrade the video card at some point, but the 8800 GT suits my needs just fine. And it's still running a dual boot of Windows XP and Windows 7. So let's go ahead and power it on. I'll turn the lights off so you can see the LEDs. Because remember, this has customizable LEDs that you can set through software. And if you hear a loud whooshing sound, don't get scared. It's just because this computer is unbelievably loud. So let's go ahead and power it up. Find the button. Okay, let me switch to the proper input on the KVM. And we'll move the camera over and get a look at the monitor. Okay, I will admit this monitor really isn't the most appropriate monitor to be using on a beastly system like this, but you know, it does perfect for what I use this computer for anyway. So we're at our boot menu. We can go into XP or Windows 7. We'll start off with XP. That's what I use the most on here. And of course I do have 8 gigs of RAM in here, but XP's only seeing up to 3 gigs of it because this is a 32-bit operating system. 8 gigs still work beautifully in Windows 7 though, which we will take a look at later. I did have the LEDs on this system set to different colors, but apparently that was only in Windows 7, and I probably need to... oh! It just changed to the colors I set. Apparently it only works when you're in Windows. Okay, I moved the camera back over here just to show you the custom LEDs I have set up on here. I set this up to some Christmas style LEDs just for the holiday season. And I think it looks pretty good. What do you think? Okay, we're at the Windows XP desktop now. So let's check out and see what I have installed on this install. First we'll go into the system settings. You can see right here, Intel Core 2 Quad Q9550 clocked at 2.83 gigahertz. This is pretty much the most powerful socket 775 CPU I've ever had, and it's also the most powerful CPU I've ever run Windows XP on. Now I can imagine XP probably isn't taking full advantage of the CPU, but again I have Windows 7 on here as well, which I'm sure takes very good advantage of it. Go to Device Manager, GeForce 8800 GT, Broadcom Gigabit Network, and this has the Creative Sound Blaster X-Fi sound card. A very, very, very nice sound card, I must say. This originally had digital surround sound speakers hooked up to it when my aunt had it, but she kept those speakers, and I don't blame her for that. They're really, really good speakers, and I don't have room for them out here. So, let's check out some games on here. I've got some more games on here from compared to last time, including, well, quite simply my favorite computer game ever released in the 2000s. This is a game where if I'm not too careful, I'll find myself spending an entire day on this game because it's so addicting. My friends, it's SimCity 4 Deluxe Edition. I remember June of 2004 when I had my wisdom teeth taken out when I was 14. I spent the whole weekend afterwards playing this game on the Dell Dimension 2350. That computer ran this game like total garbage because of its onboard Intel graphics, but I still had the time of my life playing this. And you can see the region I've been working on. It's very sloppy, but hey, I enjoy it. And let's go to the biggest city I've built so far, a little city called Portsville here on the coast. Currently has 318,777 citizens. Not many people like this game for some reason compared to previous SimCity games, but this one happens to be my favorite. And I really, really love it. I love the region system in this game, where you can have cities working with each other in one area. and have like a road system. You can build like, it's almost like you can build your own states. It's almost like Sim State. It does take a while for it to load up though. And you can see right here I have an island here with, which is kind of a tourist area. And it's kind of a port city for the area. And there's a whole bunch of pollution here. And there's nothing I can do about that. Insert political statement here. It's a very hustle and bustle city. It even has its own semi-urban loop. And yes, as you can imagine, I do focus a lot of attention on roads in these cities. You know what, let's go ahead and start a new city. And yes, I do use cheats in this game, because I'm a bad boy. Okay. Let's start a little beach town. Put some trees here. And what should we name it? Let's name it, Andy Beach, I don't care. Actually, I do care. Let's name it Care Beach. Not to be confused with Curie Beach, North Carolina, my favorite vacation spot in the whole world, even though I haven't been there in almost 10 years. And I'll try not to trip over cables trying to get to the keyboard. And I'll put in my cheat to give us pretty much unlimited money. There we go. And we'll pause the simulation. With beach towns, I always like to start building like little beach spots right here. Like so. I just pretty much do it the entire length of the town. Alright. And we'll build a road along the shore. Again, I take roads very seriously in this game. I did used to be known as Road Geek, after all. And of course you can see there's roads coming out from other towns in the region, from the south. And you've got a railroad there too. You know, one game I've never played that I've always wanted to try? Railroad Tycoon, which was made by the same people that did Roller Coaster Tycoon, I do believe. Alright, we'll build a road going out to the west. And let's build a interstate. Not a very big one, of course. First we'll just build kind of an exit right here for this road here. But I didn't want it to be elevated though. Let's see if we can connect it into this this road right here. This is such an addicting game, and I'm going to have to stop myself before this video becomes 6 hours of me playing SimCity 4. Because that could very well become a reality if I'm not careful. There we go. I'll build another exit right here. Another main road there. Alright, that's enough roads for now. Let's start building some zones. Some commercial there, some residential here. I would like to try that new City Skylines game sometime. Been hearing about that game for years and it does intrigue me. That to be residential. And we'll create a farm district so we can have some kind of industry. Okay, that's good for zones. And we'll do another cheat here so I can get all the rewards. And we'll just create a solar power plant and just plop it there and build a water system. Oh. Never cared for this part of the game where you have to build all these water pipes. If it's a real big city you're building, it can take a long time. Because people just have to have their water. Okay, let's build a hospital. On the coverage area there. Alright, just need one hospital for this little town. And build some police stations. That'll do. And fire station or two. And some schools. Huh, just one will do apparently. Oh, I forgot to build a dump. Oh yeah, let's build a train station. Put it there. And put a freight station right here. Okay. And maybe a museum. Anything else? Okay, we need to do some money adjustment. Turn taxes down a little bit. And give a little bit more funding for health and education. Didn't think this video would be about politics, would you? And we'll save our progress because this game is known to crash sometimes. Oh, I forgot to build bus stations. This region does have a bus system. Make an adjustment here. Hope I'm not going too long on this. Like I said, this game can get addicting. Like some of these roads. Alright, now let's unpause it and watch our new little town grow. Didn't take long at all. Okay, we can build a mayor mansion. And this is the one thing I don't like about this game, the constant advisor dialogues. And you can't stop them. Okay, we can build a church. And build a boneyard. I can find room. Yes. I'll fool with that later. But we've almost got 5,000 people in this town now. So yeah, that's SimCity 4. I'm going to have to stop right there before I'm playing this for 6 more hours. And I've got Simpsons Hit and Run on here as well. Used to play that game quite a bit on my original Xbox. Never had the PC port until recently, though. And I've even got Virtual PC 2007 on here. Not that I ever use it, but I had a copy of it, so why not install it? And got Work Suite 2006. That's Flying Scotsman approved right there. And it connects into Word 2003. My favorite version of Microsoft Word ever. Because it just plain works. Okay, guess that's all there really is to show in XP, so let's move back over to Windows 7. And of course, this was running the unofficial Service Pack 4, which gives you the security updates for Windows POS Ready 2009, which gives you updates until 2019, which I guess we'll lose support for that in just a matter of months. Not that it's really a big deal. Okay, we'll head into Windows 7. Would like to get a SSD for this computer. It does amaze me though. You put a modern version of Windows like this on a computer like this with a Core 2 Quad 9550, 8 gigs of RAM, and maybe even an SSD if you got one. You can really go a long way with a computer like this. You can still do a lot of everyday tasks still on a almost 11-year-old computer. In fact, I actually used this for some everyday tasks a few weeks ago while I was reformatting my main computer. I was able to get on here. I was able to watch YouTube perfectly, get on Facebook perfectly. I was pretty much able to do basic stuff perfectly on here. Now, I wouldn't go editing high-definition video and playing the latest and greatest computer game on here, but for what it is, it still does pretty well for a almost 11-year-old computer. Now this part was a little bit slow, but I think that's just because I'm using a old mechanical hard drive. Yeah. Flash player always wants an update. So yeah, we got all the latest updates on here. This is Windows 7 Professional, Service Pack 1. I hear a cow outside, or no, maybe it's a horn from the nearby high school. They love their pep rallies. Let's see if we can get our experience index score. Remember when that was a thing? I have 5.9. That's the highest I've... This is actually one of the highest scores I've ever had on Windows 7 or Vista. And of course I can run the latest version of Firefox. And that runs beautifully. Again, this system could use an SSD. Did have one in it at one point, but I had to take it back out to use in another system. And I think that's what's really slowing this computer right down. It's just right now is the hard drive. And it's taking its time right here. Yeah, hard drive LED is just on. So yeah, not the fastest drive in the world. Trust me, this computer is a fast computer. Let's go into Task Manager, see how we're performing. Not too bad. We can run CPU-Z on here, get some down and dirty info on it. I'll update it later. Okay, I'm running a Core 2 Quad 9550. I can zoom in a little bit. It's the Yorkfield chip with and it's a Core 2 Quad. It's a quad core. Running at 2.83 gigahertz. Oh yeah, and this computer uses an Enforce chipset 680i, which I've never had any issues with it, and my aunt didn't have any issues with it either. And we're running the latest BIOS from April 1st, 2008. Surprisingly, they didn't make any more BIOS updates after that. And we're running at 8 gigabytes of memory, surprisingly. Still don't know how I was able to accomplish that. And we are in dual channel with 4 slots. And our 8800 GT. I think it's like 512 megs of RAM on here. And we're running on DirectX 11. And I noticed that the LEDs switched back to the default colors when I put it in onto Windows 7. So let me adjust that accordingly. I'll set it to our Christmas colors. Not that you can see it, but take my word for it, it's now set to a more Christmassy looking theme as far as LEDs are concerned. So I guess that's pretty much all there is to see in this video. I do intend to keep this computer for as long as possible. Again, I do want to get an SSD for it. We've got a 250 gig hard drive in it right now. With both 7 and XP on there and secondary driver storage. The OS drive is 250 gigs, so I guess I could put a 250 gig SSD in it. That would probably run nicely. So we'll go ahead and shut her down. And this is Billy Core signing off. Thank you for visiting the Nostalgia Mall. If you liked what you saw, please like, subscribe, and follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also support me on Patreon if you would like. The links to all of these are down below. Until next time, this is Billy Core wishing you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.